Okay, we have 20 members in attendance here today. We have 5 members online, and we have a couple different guests. So I'm going to wait to do our speakers last, but Kennedy, who's right over there, standing already. Thank you for standing. He is brought to us on behalf of Ron Denham. But he has been to the club a couple times, but many years ago, right? Yes. So he's looking at potentially, he's back in Toronto. He's looking at potentially becoming a member of the club, thinking. Very early stages. We also have Graham Clark, who's a friend of John McIntosh, who's here for his second meeting. Welcome. And we have our good old friend, oh, she's over at the desserts. Julie is here, long lost friend. Glad to have you back. I know you came as a guest of Arthur's, very nice. And then we have our speaker and her father here. So Hannah Schwartz is here and her father Gary's here. Welcome. So how do we welcome our guests? So I'd like to open the floor up. Sorry, I've got to do birthdays first. So John, you can stand. That's all right. April 20th is your birthday, correct? Yes, very nice. And Glenn Frost, since we have our Rotary After Hours, is he's not here today. He's celebrating it on April 27th. So happy birthday to 2 of those members. Enjoy your day. I'm now going to call upon Bob, if he could come up and do our reflection for us. Do you want to come sit up beside her or no? Sure.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. I don't recall ever having given a reflection before during my previous tenure at Toronto Eglinton from 2000 through to about 2015. So this will probably be my first time. I am, of course, fully conversant with the Rotary 4-way test, and without in any way diminishing from the importance of the first, second, and fourth tests, I'd like to just focus briefly on the third test. Will it build goodwill and better friendships? I think that's a very important question to be asked. It's a privilege for me to have been invited back to Rotary quite recently. Each of you have your own very special relationships that Rotary has helped you establish and solidify, and I do too. When I reviewed the club directory at the time of my reinduction last fall, after 7 or 8 years absence, I found that nearly half of the members of this club had been active for more than a decade, which I found very, very comforting to come back to. There is someone special who fits into a very unique category as both a former member of Toronto Eglinton Rotary and a special friend of many of us. And you may recall Arthur mentioning her a couple of weeks ago. And here she is, sitting in the back corner, the ubiquitous and wonderful Julie Wang Morris, who we're delighted to have. Challenge. I think in terms of a reflection, I can probably do no better than quote from an article written 2 or 3 years ago by a couple of Rotarians from District 7030, and I believe that is the Caribbean district, if I'm not mistaken. And it was posted online as follows. Our house is a big one. People with many vocations, denominations, races, ethnicities, and beliefs. As a club, we are known to be strong in fellowship. It is imperative that, as club members, our place continues to be one where we strive to be seen as a group of like-minded citizens who are supportive, respectful, engaging, and self-aware of each other's space and needs. Through the good work of our past and current Rotarians, this ethos is something we should and need to continue. It is important that we all commit to being that person at the club who lives by and personifies these values. Every Rotarian may have her or his own key judgment on what builds goodwill and better relationships. For some, it may be the shedding of the daily rigors of work to take a break and simply enjoy the fellowship that Rotary offers. This, of course, builds goodwill and better friendships. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Mother? Sorry, no, I want to introduce you. Is it Tatiana or is it Tatiana? So this is, I assume this is Hannah's mom. Welcome. Sorry, grab some food while we're, okay. No, no problem whatsoever. We're very relaxed here. We're non-threatening group here, Hannah. Yeah. So let's move on to Happy Bucks. Do we have any Happy Bucks in the room? I've got Craig who's managing our 10. So it looks like we do. And hold on, I got a microphone here for you somewhere. Oh, it's on the table. Just watch the feedback.
Okay.
Is there anybody online who has any Happy Bucks? No? Maria, you're, if you want, you're muted, but if you have anything you want to say.
Great. Yeah, I have $20 for my birthday.
Oh, thank you. Happy birthday. I know your birthday was last week, was it not? Or 2 weeks ago?
Yes,
Yes.
it was just a week ago.
Yes.
In 20?
20. Yep.
I don't dare to tell you how old I am.
Nope, we don't want to know. You're young at heart.
Are we doing?
I think Walter is had his hand up.
Walter's next?
Frank, you want me to do the writing for you?
Oh, amazing, yes. Somebody with good writing. I have happy bucks for not having to write.
We're gonna get feedback here.
I put $5 in the pot because I'm happy because we had a repeat performance today. About 10 years ago, I think it was, my wife and I were visiting Italy. And we rented a car and took a drive down to a town on the outside of Italy called Positano. Well, it turns out you can't park in Positano. You have to park outside the town limit.
Turn that off.
It's, and so we parked outside the town limits and you have to walk in. Well, about halfway in, I heard this loud voice that I recognized. And so I came up right behind this loud voice and I said, "Hi." And she turned around and of course screamed in full volume. And the same thing happened today out here in front of the.
I love you, Walter, I love you.
I have $5 and I'm gonna take the time to advertise. I'm the champion for trails and I have registered Rotary Toronto Eglinton for their outdoor challenge. And all you have to do, and I'm not, if you can, is support one of the 4 of us, there are 5 of us that are now in the RTE team. And you go www.trails.ca/go. I will send that out. If you click on that, then you click on donate, and then you click on donate to a team, and then you click on Rotary Toronto Eglinton. And right now we've got $370 in there from Ray Cowan and myself. And so we've got a target of 1,000 that we would like to give trails. So that's my $5 because I know you guys will support. Thank you.
Does that have all the instructions on it?
Oh,
I have $10 because I have a very special guest today. You might have heard her actually when she was coming from the Rosedale subway station. Anyway, it's lovely to have Julie with us again today.
I'll do that first.
Well, I have 5 very happy bucks because we now have 17 people coming on Sunday.
Ooh.
Yes, I think we are an amazing club and thank you all so much. So looking forward to Sunday.
Thank you. I got $5 I put into the pot because I'm very proud of my second eldest grandson, who is a member of the GTA, I can't remember, GTA A level hockey team that won the Toronto Championship this year. Now, the only bad news is he came home 11:30 night, and that's pretty late for a 14-year-old. But he was sober.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I'd like to commit him $5.
Norm, you don't have to record if they're putting cash in the thing. It's only when they're just donating and not.
Let's take a short history lesson. 1853, 17th of April, today, but 1853. The Argentina president, and now I have to see, Domingo Faustino Sarmiento. And he was president in Argentina. And he said that, okay, we have to do something to stimulate the industry here, to make growth, you know, all of this. And he decided he wanted to put in the wine industry. So he gave this commemorated date, and he said to Michael Amier Poguet, he gave him the task to do something about the wine industry in Argentina. And we commemorate this day, 17th of April, as the International Day of Malbec. The grape that is most famous now in Argentina and Chile, but its heritage is from France. But this is today International Malbec Day, thanks to this president. And this is happy box, I say, and you will find wonderful Malbec at LCBO.
I was hoping you were going to bring some bottles today. That'd be nice.
A little bit later, but if you come, you know, my phone number.
I've got a busy Happy Bucks today.
I have $20 to pay for Happy Bucks. 2 things. Today is my late father's birthday, which we remember him. And secondly, this past Monday, our son-in-law, David Isaac, competed in and completed the Boston Marathon.
Congratulations.
He qualified.
Arthur, do you have another one?
I do.
Arthur's got one more.
Where's your money?
Oh, we got Jackie first.
I'm very happy today, first of all, to have Bill Steele back from his extended stay down south. Wonderful to have you back, Bill. And also to have Hannah Schwartz here. It's not always that you're able to have lunch with a former student of just the finest high school in the North End. Okay.
Okay, Arthur's one more.
Oh, this is about free for the last one.
This is $20, and this is for another guest here, Graham Hart. I only had a 20, otherwise I would have put a 5 in. But Graham's an or a friend of mine of long standing. I'm not supposed to say an old friend, but he's a wonderful guy. And Hannah, I have a granddaughter named Hannah, and she's lovely, just like you. I'm looking forward to hear your speech.
Okay, are we good? Oh, Hannah, you want to do something? Okay.
I just want to say thank you all for inviting me here, and I'm so glad and I'm so excited to speak with you all, and it was lovely meeting you, and I can't wait to speak up there soon. Thank you.
Are we done?
Unless there's somebody online.
No, I think, have we got everybody online? If not, speak up, because I'm sharing my screen right now. I'm going to call upon Lars to come up and introduce our speaker for today.
Thank you, President David. Now you understand why the wine at communion in the Swedish church has improved considerably since Maria came. It is like water and wine different. Anyway, brief history before we to let you know how we came to where we are today. Raoul Wallenberg was a Swedish diplomat in Budapest at the second half of 1944, and where there is various information on how many people he saved, how many Jews he saved, but that was his task at the Swedish legislation. Whether it is 10,000, 50,000, 100,000 is not necessarily known. But anyway, he did that. Raoul Wallenberg was arrested by the Russian Red Army on the 17th of January, 1945. And that's the last time he was heard from. In Canada, the Raoul Wallenberg Day is celebrated on this day. In other countries, it is other days, depending on various historic things. But he is also an honorary citizen of this country, the first one actually, honorary citizen of Canada. So around the country, on the 17th of January every year, there are celebrations of the Wallenberg Day. And lately, the Swedish embassy has been more and more involved. And this year, of other reasons, but as you may know, there is a new Toronto Holocaust Museum, which if you haven't been there, you should go there. And maybe we should do that as an event for the club. At the same time, the Stockholm Holocaust Museum was founded. So the embassy put things together and we managed to put an event together. And the theme for the activity was to keep the legacy of Raoul Wallenberg present and for future generations. Because as the survivors of the Holocaust are passing away, we need to do things to keep this terrible thing alive, so it hopefully never happens again. We are unfortunately not necessarily very good at that. But anyway, so we need to get the young people involved in this and carry on. And the embassy felt that, yes, we should have a panel discussion about how this as part of the program. And they contacted me, or I was involved in it, and I saw these people that more or less that they suggested, and I was still one of the younger persons that was suggested. I was not suggested to be on the panel, but anyway, so I discreetly asked, wouldn't it be good if we are going to discuss how to keep this memory present among the young people, that we have a young person on the panel? Oh, great idea, they say, great idea. So they volunteered me to find one. And I, of course, turned to Jackie for help because I don't know that many young people. And Jackie just said, oh, I'm just going to Northern Secondary, which I understand is the best school in Northern Toronto, and meet with the principal. So I'll ask him. And she came back the same evening and said, we think we have a candidate. Long story short, I got permission by Anna's parents to touch base and sent the brief outline. And the same night, I got an answer from Hannah and said, well, I'm happy to participate. And that's the beginning of this. And Hannah participated together with Mayor Frank Scarpitti, the chief of police, and a lot of other people on the panel, and did a wonderful job. At that event in January, we also, thanks to the Raoul Wallenberg Academy, which was founded 20 years ago in Stockholm by Raoul Wallenberg's sister, for the same reason, to keep the values of Raoul Wallenberg alive among the young people. We launched in Canada the Raoul Wallenberg Academy's Young Courage Award. And it is an award which, again, we should really see if we can get Rotary involved, because it is to, you can nominate young people in the age group, I think it's 13 to 20, for the award. And it can be a lot of different things. The problem they've had is actually that some people think that it has to be that you save 10,000 lives. But it can be that you more or less shovel the snow for an elderly to anything else. And these nominations from today, 10 different countries, are sent to Sweden, to the Raoul Wallenberg Academy. And in each country, there will be one individual selected that will, among the nominees, because everyone has done something very great, but one person will go to Sweden in August, be selected to go to Sweden. So there will be about 10 people, 10, 11 young people gathering in Sweden on the 27th of August, which is when we celebrate the Wallenberg Day. So Hannah did such a great job, and Jackie, unfortunately, could not cancel her ticket to, I don't know where it was. So she didn't had an opportunity to listen to Hannah. So she asked me, what was it? And I said, Hannah did a fantastic job. What do you expect from a student, a 15-year-old student in 10th grade at the best school in Toronto? Of course she would do that. And so we said, that some of you may recall, that we said we need to ask her to come and speak to us. And then, of course, we have the administration and the bureaucracy of this club. So we said, well, let's do it when we have the pod, which we have now. This is, we have divided the work between us. So 2 months after each other, a group of our members arranged the program, and our pod is this month and next month. So Hannah was kind enough to say yes to come to speak to us, and we are looking forward to that. We are going to listen to a social entrepreneur who get in to 150% whatever she does. And as I said, she did a fantastic job. Actually, the comments afterwards was that she was the best of the individuals participating in the panel, and I tend to agree, but there were a lot of other people there who did a good job, and we were so happy that you came. Anyway, I'm not going to steal much more. I have a long list of accomplishments, but I'll let you, Hannah, talk about what you're doing. We are proud to have you here, and it's so wonderful when we see all the problems with youth and so on and so forth, that there are people like you. So welcome.
Thank you so much for that introduction. As Lars said, I am Hannah Schwartz. I'm 15 years old, and I'm a Jewish student at Northern Secondary School. I'm here to talk to you all about small acts of hate. I'd like to start my presentation about talking about heroes. For my definition of heroes, I automatically think of superheroes, the ones with the capes and superpowers. I've recently realized that my definition has changed drastically. I now realize that to be a hero is to advocate for yourself in face of diversity. I realize that to be a hero doesn't mean to be a hero to the world, but in your community. I try my best to be a leader in my community. Recently, my school wasn't going to have a Holocaust Remembrance Day assembly. They said this because they didn't have enough time in the schedule to take kids outside of school, but then they would cut school for football games, etc. I then realized that I had to stand up for my community. After emailing many people, I got Ellie Gotts, a Holocaust survivor, to come to our school to speak to us, not only about his experience as a 15-year-old in concentration camps, but about the repercussions of hate in communities. I then, after this, got to experience an amazing event as a panelist with Raoul Wallenberg, who is my personal hero, as he stood up for many people. I'm not the only one who does this, though. A friend of mine, Bella, has also started a scholarship for the Moon and Stars. It's called the Moon and Stars, which is, I asked her about why she started this, and she said after the events of October 7th, she realized that the school was divided, and she has aimed to fundraise money for this scholarship to the person who does the best at creating a hate-free environment at our school. When I talk about mine and my friends' experience with anti-Semitism, it seems to always start with October 7th, although this is not when anti-Semitism started. I and many others have faced anti-Semitism their whole life, but after October 7th, I realized the difference. I first thought that anti-Semitism was only considered such if it was an act of violence. I now realize this isn't true. It can start with small acts of hate. On my screen behind me, you can see many texts that my peers face on a daily basis. We receive texts like these from people we don't even know. I never personally was discouraged by this. Of course, it was on social media. I didn't know these people. When it truly started to impact me was when it was in my schools. I'd have my own personal friends post things like from the river to the sea. I understood that they didn't understand what this meant, so I spoke with them. And of course, their first reactions was always, this isn't about you as a person. This is about what's happening in Israel. But what they didn't understand was attacking me. It was not only attacking me, but my family and many of their other friends. I then realized that this wasn't the first time I had faced this. Throughout my whole life, I have. In middle school, I was the only Jewish kid in my school. So they all had started calling me the Jew, the Jewish friend. They told me that my religion wasn't real and that it was just another form of Christianity. I, of course, explained to them this wasn't true. I then moved on to high school, thinking this would stop, but instead, it got worse. Not only my friends would call me the Jew, but everyone in my school did. They'd yell in the halls, Jew, and then it got worse. People who weren't my friends tried to make joking remarks about the Holocaust. They'd say, I wish your whole family had died in the Holocaust in a gas chamber. I wish Hitler was back. I was astonished that people would make such jokes about such a serious issue. I then, of course, talked to them, and they told me that they did not mean to make these remarks and that they were trying to make a joke. I let it slide because they're teenagers. They make mistakes. It continued. Turns out they did not stop. They just went behind my back. I heard from other people that they told people who were my friends and people who weren't my friends, let's make a website called Hannah Schwartz. You can promote a Jew or demote a Jew. I found this ridiculous. Why would they bring my religion into discussion where I wasn't even involved in? This kept on happening. I eventually told my parents because I was upset. They told me that this was very serious and I should report it. I found myself saying, I'm just being overdramatic and oversensitive, repeating the same things that my friends had told me to say. If you had asked me if I'd ever experienced bullying, I'd immediately say no. But if you had asked me if I experienced anti-Semitism, I'd say practically on the daily. I started thinking of the definition of bullying and how throughout all of elementary school, we went to assembly after assembly on bullying. We learned about the bully, the victim, and the bystanders, and how we should never be one. I then realized when we got to high school, we seemed to forget these basic principles. We seemed to instead allow people to continue bullying and harassing other students. I looked to my peers and I realized the definition of a teenager, which I think when we all think of one, is a person becoming an adult, someone probably insecure and don't know who they are. I find my peers repeatedly showing this in their actions. I try my best to do what I can for my friends, but it becomes very hard in these environments. I was recently at Ellie Gott's, my family friend, a Holocaust survivor's house. We were reading through manuscripts of other Holocaust survivors. I ended up on this one from talking about his school experiences. The quotes start by saying, "They started to make anti-Semitic remarks at schools. My friends came and said, 'Oh, you are different. You are a good Jew. You are clean, you don't smell, and you speak like us.' It was hard to admit, but I felt happy. I'm a good Jew." Then, 2 years later, he says, "Anti-Semitism was rapid. We Jews started to be blamed for everything. Comments were more aggressive, a bit less friendly, and there were more physical attacks." And then he says, "Suddenly, school was over. Immediately, we put on our yellow stars." We need to teach people that they cannot be bystanders. Words will turn into violence. We need to stop things early. We need to tell students that they need to stand up for their friends. I immediately think back to Raoul Wallenberg, someone who wasn't Jewish. He stood up not for his community, but just people. He showed what a true hero is in our community. I read this manuscript and I can only stop to reflect on my own life and how this is what's happening in our schools. It always starts with small acts of hate, but those can turn into acts of violence. The difference between me and this story was simply over 70 years. But this was a young boy and hungry. We still see the repercussions of our history repeating itself. And that's why we have to learn from our past to move on in our future. Here are some other quotes that I had mentioned. This brings me back to my main point. People keep on seeming to tell me, this isn't Nazi Germany. This isn't the Holocaust. You can't be oversensitive and overdramatic about this. But I don't understand why. This is my religion. This is my faith. This is my family. This is who I am as a person. When October 7th happened, I didn't feel remorse for because there was a war. I felt hurt as if my family was hurt. This isn't a story about Jewish people. This is a story about people. But this time, it'll be a different story with different heroes. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you, Hannah. It's quite powerful. Does anyone have any questions for Hannah? Yes. Maria.
How can we help? How can we do it? Because no one is an island. Not even Raoul Wallenberg was alone doing it. So how can we help?
I mentioned that there's a scholarship at my school. If you go to, I can give you the information, but if you go to NSS Foundations, you can donate to a scholarship called Moon and Stars. You can also, there's a lot of other places I can give you information for youth organizations for this. But a great start would be for that. Thank you.
Maybe you could give David the link.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and I'll include in my follow-up. Before I have Jackie come up and thank you, I just want to say your parents should be very proud. Very proud. You're bringing tears to my eye because I'm married to a Jewish woman and my daughter is 27 years old and she does not have the same awareness you do about the Jewish population that's being, whatever you want to call it, it's not right. And thank you for your presentations, very much appreciated. And now I'm going to call upon Jack before I start to really cry and have her come and thank you.
Yeah, David, you can't cry because
I know.
you'd have some company here.
Sorry, Jackie.
That's okay.
There we go.
Oh,
Okay. There we go.
Well, Hannah, thank you so much for bringing us this message. And it's a message that personally for me is kind of depressing on one hand because of what you've experienced at Northern, but it's also hopeful because I know that you have some colleagues and allies at Northern who will help you. And I really think Maria's question about how we can help, you've given us an answer. We just simply have to respond and act and deal with anti-Semitic and hurtful comments when we experience them in our own lives. We have to become your allies, and we will. Rotary, I can assure you, will. So the message the message was also very inspiring, because we don't get to meet people like you very often. We don't read about what you've done in the media. The media loves to cover the negative side of young people, and it's always been my experience that every day at work as an educator was hopeful for me, because I saw such promise and hope. You've given us so much today. The wisdom of your suggestions and the hope that we have from your message and about your generation. I think we can all be sure that in spite of all we hear in society, the world is in good hands with people like Hannah. And we hope that we know that your generation will do better than ours in promoting international peace and understanding. And I just want to reiterate David's comment that Gary and Tajana, you should be so proud of your daughter. You are, and Hannah, you are a credit to your parents and your wider community. And we just simply love your definition of a hero. We'll hold that dear. And I know that we will never forget this meeting that we've had today here. And thank you. Hannah mentioned the Moon and Stars Award. It's an initiative of the Jewish Student Association and the Islamic Student Association at Northern. And it's an award for someone who demonstrates taking a path of reconciliation to resolve situations. And it's been quite a learning experience for them. And but someone is going to receive that award in June at Northern's commencement. So Hannah, thank you very much and for coming today. Come on up here. And Rotary has made a donation to the Daily Bread Food Bank in your name. So thank you. Okay. Oh, sorry, no, it's not the Daily Bread Food Bank. It's Trails Youth Initiative.
Thank you very much.
Don't let me sit down, you'll start singing Happy Trails. But it's a environmental center out in the country for underprivileged students in Toronto. Thank you very much for coming. All right.
Thank you.
If you folks want to leave, as I said to you earlier, if you want to leave and take off, you can, or you can sit and wait for probably another 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. Okay, beautiful. Okay, to follow up with the rest of our business for today, just some president's announcements. So club awards, I sent out an email last week in regards to those. I know I've already got some submissions for people, but if you're, don't want to touch a computer, I have nomination forms that you can take today for the Paul Harris Award and then also for the Service Above Self. So if you want to take those and fill them in, you can give them back to me either at this meeting or a follow-up meeting. It's very important that we recognize those individuals in our club on a yearly basis that have gone above and beyond as Rotarians. I know we're all here. Tom won it last year for his Trails Initiative and getting that started. So, I mean, we need to recognize our members for what they do within the community and abroad. Secondly, we have our next Rotary Connect meeting. So that's the meeting where we have multiple clubs in the area meeting together to talk about initiatives. That's where we're talking about the Blues Fest, the initiative for the environment that's happening next weekend. So if anyone wants to attend that, please let me know. It's happening on Wednesday, May 1st. It's at a new location. I will send that out to you. But if someone wants to come, it's a really great way of meeting other clubs and what they're doing on a monthly and weekly basis. And it's also a great way of getting ideas on what we can do as a club as well. On April 24th, we have the Rotary District 7070 Environmental Symposium. It's live and online from the Rotary Global Classroom at Durham College. That's happening from 7 to 9 p.m. So if you're interested, Lionel wanted me to, or sorry, Neelam wanted me to pass that information along. It is included in my follow-up email for all the information if you want to register for that. We also have, as the membership chair, as president as well, we have not had a fireside chat in a very long time, and it's because I was away. And so we are going to have one in June for all those members from the last 6 to 8 months with their mentors. And the fireside chat's a great way for you to ask those questions that have been brewing in your brain for the last little while as new Rotarians, to ask of your mentors and people in the senior community of the club. And it's over wine and cheese, and it's in at my place around the dining room table. So we've had them a couple times. It's been a really great evening of socialization and just great conversation. So look for that information coming from me. That's going to happen in June. Then last but not least, is there anything else, Nan, you want to talk about the cleanup on April 21st?
Can I just briefly?
Yeah, sure. Come on up. Yeah, I've got you on my list.
I just wanted to very briefly say, on behalf of the committee, we really appreciate everybody that's coming. As I said, there's 17. That doesn't mean anybody can skive off. We need everybody, so please come. If anybody else wants to come, email me. I'll make sure you get the map and all the info. It's this Sunday between 10 and 12 near Thorncliffe Park, E.T. Seton Park. It's a lovely time, honestly. When I went once before, when I was just joining Rotary, it was like as I say, a walk in the park. We walked along the stream, chatted with friends while we picked up garbage, and we gathered a lot and had a good time together. So we're looking forward to it. Hopefully get together for a brief lunch after, or long if we want. But it's this Sunday. If anybody needs any info, please email me. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Nan. Okay, and with that, I'm going to call upon Jim. He's going to give us our international committee update for the month.
Thank you, President David. We have we continue to support a number of projects around the world, and I'd just like to talk about a couple of these. One is the Bujiri Water Project in Uganda, where we are the lead international club supporting the installation of water sources and sanitary facilities at 5 rural schools in Uganda. This project is coming along very well. Understandably, you run into a few hiccups sometimes in projects like this, and that's been the case. But overall, it's coming very well. And in fact, we have a committee meeting later this month to discuss in detail a progress report that's going back to Rotary International. We also have a new project, and this is a project in where we are supporting other Rotary clubs. And this is basically for again for washroom facilities for 2 schools in India. These schools have a total of about 1,000 students, 2/3 of whom are girls. And so basically we are providing, along with other partner Rotary clubs, the funds to support the installation of these facilities. In our case, and this is almost the end of our Rotary year and almost the end of our budget, we are supporting them in the amount of $1,000 US. And I would make that as a motion to the club and ask for support for it. Thank you, Jackie. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Thank you very much. And thank you, David.
Okay, are there any other updates for the membership that anyone wants to bring forth? Party on, it was great on last Wednesday. We did some membership.
Well, yes, yes.
Great. So Out of the Cold is officially done for the year.
We're done for the Out of the Cold and.
Starts back up in November, October.
Late October. It
So I'm
starts.
sure Walt will be coming to everybody in September. Won't be far away. He'll be asking for more volunteers for that.
It was a beautiful event, yes.
Great. Okay, if there's nothing else, next week is our Rotary After Hours on at 5:30 at the Duke of Kent at Yonge and Eglinton. I encourage more people to come out. As I said earlier, we did not have a good turnout the last 2 months. So if you can make it, please do. I will be there. I encourage any of our potentially new members that are looking at may want to come out. It's a much more social environment. It's not as formal as this is, so it's a great way to. Lionel, do you have something?
Yeah, just the youth services committee is meeting after this meeting.
You're going to be at the back there?
About half an hour.
Is there anybody online who's in the youth services?
Don't think so.
Nope. Okay. So with that, if I could just have Jackie and Arthur stay afterwards, just want to confirm up that Zoom call. Other than that, we are good to go. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you next week at Raw. Thank you. Have a great one.